AnaMaria. Thank you so much for meeting with me today for the first time. I'm very excited to meet you and to be able to share your experience today with my audience. Could you kindly introduce yourself a little bit? Let us know where you are, your background.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here, and also congrats on all the other interviews that you have done. Very, very interesting. So myself, I'm Albanian originally. I moved to the UK when I was doing my bachelor degree. I studied politics, international relations, which was like my first passion in life. And then I moved to Switzerland to work for the United Nations. Obviously, most of the people that study international relations, their kind of goal is to work for the UN. And when I was looking at the system of the UN, I discovered like all the agencies of the UN. So I thought Switzerland, Geneva is a great place because there's a lot of companies, there's agencies there that one can work for. And so I ended up working for the ITU, which is the International Telecommunication Union. I did that around 8.5 years, 9 years of my career in different departments. I worked in the standardization sector, a lot with governments, creating standards, a little bit like the ISO, IC standards, but here at a more like global level, I would say, standards on AI, IoT, blockchain, so also new technologies. This really gave me a passion for new tech and really looking more into it. And then I started focusing on running, I started at the time in the department, an incubator program that helped different entrepreneurs in developing countries, mostly looking at tech standardization. This is something, you know, very specific, so very difficult sometimes when you're a young entrepreneur, you're not really focusing on that. And during that time of the incubator, I really got passionate, you know, to work with entrepreneurs. They're so interesting, they're so driven, they're so inspiring. So I thought this is a journey I want to continue. And I moved into the European section of the organization, where I really focused with European countries, and of course worked with Albania. So that was very nice in digital skills, in accessibility, in gender, in innovation in general. And then I left that job to focus fully on the startup world and work with Fongit. Fongit is a organization, private organization, non-profit, funded by the state of Geneva. Very, very interesting. If you're an entrepreneur in Geneva, of course, you must be focusing to connect with Fongit. This is the place where the support is coming from. And I started leading the marketing department there, a very, very incredible journey that I ended just recently. And now I'm really focusing on investment in companies. So really leaving the support side in terms of, you know, incubation, 360-degree services, and really focusing just on the investment side in companies that are having a tech element, of course, in the medical sphere, in the social mobility sphere. So this is something that I'm doing right now.
Wow, thank you for your presentation. That's amazing. Such an amazing journey. So interesting, and it's great to be able to talk essentially today about Fongit, but to keep an eye out on what's coming next for you. So congratulations on all that so far, and best of luck for what will come next. But yes, I got drawn to your profile LinkedIn through Fongit that I had discovered first. And I thought that it was a very interesting a non-for-profit organization based in Geneva with two streams. One supporting entrepreneurs, as you said, with innovation and how to use innovation for tech innovation for economic and social value, but also to support tech startups. So I was wondering if you could dive a little bit back into Fongit and help us understand how these services work. Is it really two lines, one to support entrepreneurs and one to help startup, or does that merge? Is that basically regrouping, and how do your services used to look like?
Fongit is a really, really interesting organization, something that is quite special, I think, from the Swiss government and the canton of Geneva especially. This is a private foundation. It started in 1991. So it's almost 33 years old, 32 years old now. This foundation was started by an entrepreneur. Jean-Pierre Terre is his name. He was an entrepreneur, Swiss entrepreneur, had his office in Plan-les-Ouates, where Fongit is now located. And what he did, he started 2-3 companies. He failed for different reasons. One time he failed because he didn't have enough coaching. He made mistakes, you know, like simple mistakes. And then the third time, his company became very successful, and it's called LEM today, the company, and it's still in operations. And what he learned was that, he needed that support system around him, and he put his private money to start this foundation to support entrepreneurs. So you would see of association of, friends, I would say, perhaps in the beginning, who would support each other, and he totally started running it. Then the state of Geneva saw that this is so interesting, entrepreneurs indeed need this help, and he's creating, let's say, jobs and creating businesses out of this support. So they said, okay, we're going to come in and support this fully. So now the foundation is fully supported by the canton of Geneva. And what it does, it has two sides. So it supports startup entrepreneurs who are registered in Geneva with their company, or who are about to register the company in Geneva. So this is like one of the key criteria. If you are in Zurich, if you are in Vaud, if you are somewhere else, there are other organizations that do the same, and in those cantons. If you are in another country, Fongit cannot support you. But if your idea is to be registered in Geneva and you want to operate from Geneva, this is the organization to go to. So this is one of the criteria. The second one is to have a technology startup. So you have to have a tech related. It doesn't have to be like quantum computing or something, super complicated, but something with tech, which can be in any sphere. In the life sciences, this is a big focus on Fongit right now, the life sciences sphere, but in any sphere with the technology, and to have a connection to the SDGs. So you have to have a sustainable development goal that you prove somehow your connection to it, how you are impacting directly or indirectly this goal and the benefit of society. So with these three, let's say, general criteria in mind, you can come to Fongit, you can apply on the website. It's a very, very simple application process. And a person from the team will contact you for a 15-minute call and to understand a little bit better about your existing startup, let's say, or the one you're going to found. Now, what happens to Fongit when you come, it's a very bespoke service. So this is what's very beautiful about it and different from many other programs as such. If you go to, let's say, an accelerator, you have a 6-month program, you're following the specific modules. So if you are a marketing guru and you don't need really coaching in marketing, you still have to do it. Whereas as Fongit looks at really like, okay, you are a marketing person, you opened a marketing related company, but maybe you're not very good at the technology. So let us focus on that. Let us give you a coach that perhaps is going to help you on that. Let us try to find you maybe more team members if that's what you need. And this is what events like Café Croissant and others are there to help you connect to the community. And so it gives you the 360-degree services. It gives you admin and finance and legal services. It gives you an office space. It gives you the coaching and mentorship, which is so important. All our coaches are InnoSuite certified. So that's like a very important, let's say, element, because then you are within that network of InnoSuite and others. And then it gives you financing as well. And then financing now is divided in two sides. There is financing when you come and be supported by Fongit. And there is financing where you can just apply without the need for coaching and all the other services. And we were, in the beginning, we were just looking at companies that were registered, like how I said that first. But now Fongit launched a new service, a pre-support, let's say we call it. So the pre-support service is when you are still in the idea stage, a little bit advanced, so you can still get the benefits to get you to the kind of support level, the right level where you can get the funding and everything else from Fongit. So now at Fongit, you can also come with the idea stage. So this is the part of, let's say, the support, and the part of the funding is called FIF, the Fongit Innovation Fund. This fund is purely, a financial fund where we give it to you as a loan or a convertible loan from 100,000 Swiss francs to 400,000 Swiss francs. Any entrepreneur registered in Geneva with a tech supporting the SDGs can apply for this fund, pitch at Fongit, and a committee is giving you or not. So this is how it is working right now.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. So a lot happening, and it sounds such an interesting place to be part of Fongit as a person working there or a person involved with Fongit. And I mean, that's more of a down to earth questions, but just out of curiosity regarding like the business model itself of Fongit. So since it's non-for-profit, I was just really curious about also like the way it's operating. Do you rely, or were you relying on grants essentially, or is it partnership? How does it work?
So we are fully subsidized, funded by the state, by the canton of Geneva for the operational costs, as well as the money that we give out as loans, and we give some grants also up to 50,000 for students that are still in university, PhDs, etc., together with the research institution. This is all coming from the canton. So all this money is coming from the canton. We have some private partnerships as well that are giving some contributions. But most importantly, when we support you as a startup, we also take equity, we take shares. So at the valuation that you have, at the agreement, so Fongit is a friendly investor, right? Is the investor where you want to have, because we are the ones that are kind of supporting you, we'll be in your board, we will help you like that. We take very little shares, but some of these companies, many of them have become very successful, and we have sold those shares back to them sometimes or to other investors, and that money is being re-brought in and we give it out again. So the whole operational side, like staff, those kind of costs are totally covered by the canton. There is an amount of money that is given by the canton to be given out to companies, like the one I mentioned, the fifth, the Fongit Innovation Fund. And then there is this money that comes back from our own, let's say, investments, if you like, which are not for profit. So we give that money out again.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's amazing. And it's such a great concept because it also really creates a bond and a commitment towards the organization you're helping. So it's a great operation model for sure. And at a more bigger picture scale, I know it's only your perspective, obviously, that we're hoping to get, but given your experience with Fongit, and even prior to that, the amount of time you spent involved in Switzerland around the tech industry, what's, according to you, the level of support the public sector is currently giving to the tech innovation sector in Geneva, and then also maybe in Switzerland in general? Do you find that the country and the city, or the region and the city, are helping quite a lot, or do you find that we're lagging a little bit behind and the tech sector could require more support? I was curious, what's your own perspective to this?
I think personally, Switzerland is a great place to support technology. I would say Switzerland, like the book of Dominique Maigret, the Deep Tech Nation. This is a very interesting book that really showcases the whole journey of Switzerland as a country and how it became this deep tech nation. So the nation of really like research and then bringing out these very, very advanced technologies for the good of everyone. And when you see also from Fongit's perspective, we had the 30-year anniversary and we wrote a report, an impact report of the 30 years of Fongit. And when you read that report, it's available on the website of Fongit as well. It's very interesting to see how these kind of models that the Swiss government has put in place in Geneva, in Vaud, there is another organization, FIT, it's called. They are doing very similar work to Fongit, the Fondation d'Innovation Technologique. They are sponsored also by the Banque Cantonale Vaudoise. So very, very interesting organization. They also support a lot of entrepreneurs. Then in Zurich, of course, you have at ETH all sorts of clubs and support for entrepreneurs. At EPFL, you have the Technoparks, you have Swiss Next, which is helping entrepreneurs go abroad to China, to US, to Japan, to India. You have the GBEBA, the Greater Bern Geneva organization, Greater Geneva Bern organization. That one is helping companies to come to Switzerland, if they are interested. So that's a lot of support in this country. I would say a lot of financial support also from private players. You have the VIS Center, the academic center, the research one in Switzerland, in Geneva also. So there is so much going on, and I would say it's very exciting. And for entrepreneurs, there is, of course, InnoSwiss, Innovo Venture competition, Mass Challenge, Seed Stars. I mean, tons and tons and tons. If you are not in the space, I think sometimes you don't see this. And when I was working for the UN and I started touching a little bit on the innovation startup ecosystem, I started like, wow, there is a lot of money out there. There is grants, there is money to be given from these organizations. It's not like that there is nothing, but when you're not in the space, you're not really looking. So for me, it's definitely there is a lot, and the government is doing a lot, and the government, I'm sure, will do more because they're always passing new laws, and organizations like Fongit and similar ones are working on this to pass laws that are helping entrepreneurs. There is tax breaks in a lot of cantons. There is a lot of changes this way, and I believe that Switzerland is in the right track. Plus, having something like EPFL, ETH, these are universities that only produce spin-offs and constantly startups and technologies. We have CERN, of course. So definitely, I would say the picture is looking very positive. Of course, we cannot compare ourselves to the Silicon Valleys and in the US because the levels of funding, the levels of investment are different. For European startups in general, an investment round of, I don't know, 100 million in the US might look very small, whereas in Europe, it's a very, very big round. So I would say Switzerland is there. It's doing very well, and as is always ranked as one of the innovation countries, very, very high by the World Intellectual Property Organization too. So personally, I have a very positive opinion of this. And when people say, oh, there is no support, I always suggest go look deeper, maybe go to Startup Ticker. Startup Ticker is a great source, to look for all the news startup related, all the funding, all the competitions, everything. So that's what I would, that's my feeling, very positive. I'm usually very positive anyway, so.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all these resources. That's great. And I'll make sure to put some links under the video. And I mean, as you mentioned before, like, so Fongit is quite open in terms of the type of clients they support. I saw on the website biotech, cybersecurity, robotics, medtech, food tech, and so on. And that made me wonder, so at a broader level, so Switzerland is really helping the tech industry to thrive. That's amazing. I was wondering now, if we narrow it down a little bit, do you find that there are some sectors where Switzerland is stronger? I don't know, biotech maybe, or another one, or was it too hard to tell from your perspective?
No, I totally agree with you. Definitely life sciences, deep tech, biotech, definitely these are strong sectors of Switzerland. Of course, Switzerland is also trying to do like, the whole kind of cryptos, the whole blockchain. I mean, at some point, Geneva was also very, very strong. They even had the blockchain summit, like really strong on the blockchain, like becoming the blockchain capital of the world. But deep tech in general, I would say, because our innovations are coming from the research community. So that's why, of course, it touches upon, and it's beautiful also because every canton has a little bit of a different like focus as well, which is very nice, because then those companies that are the big companies, pharma companies, for example, can focus on those areas and help the startups come and exit, for some of them, buy them out and so on. So I would say I would stay in the same areas as you mentioned. This is definitely like a strong point of Switzerland. But of course, you see everything, very, very different companies. And there is, I think, I don't remember now the exact number of unicorns, but it's always very, very fascinating. There's a very high number of unicorns that Switzerland has. I will try to find it later and maybe send it to you, and you can put it in the description. But it's something, that always, it skips my mind now the exact number, but it's quite high for such a small country. And this is something to remember also.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Oh, I'm getting all excited. That's amazing. It's like all these things to look into now and all these resources. That's great. And I just came back to Geneva, so it's like a new field. And another point was from your perspective as well, of course, but I would be really interested to hear, what do you think it takes to be a successful startup, from everything you've seen, also your team members working on and supporting organizations with?
This is $1 million question.
Exactly, selling away all the tips. But just one or two very broad key takeaways. Obviously, depends then on each company, each sector, and everything. But
of course, I would say a couple of key points. The first one, from investor side of point of view, also startups, they're always looking at the team. So if you don't have a strong team, if you don't have a team of experienced individuals, if you are, let's say, like a scientist, and now you want to commercialize your scientific research finding, and you just go out there, you don't hire someone very good in sales, in marketing, a CEO, maybe you are the research person, you shouldn't be the CEO also. So this is very important. Investors will look at it. So team many times comes first, before the innovation, before the product, because a good team can do any product. Plenty of ideas out there, but implementation and actually making it happen is so important. And you have great entrepreneurs with brilliant ideas, very niche technologies that cannot make it happen, cannot raise funds, cannot have the company run because the team is not good. So that's very important. And one advice we always give, step back. No need for you to be the founder and the CEO. If you are the founder, maybe you're the tech guy, be the head of tech, be the CTO, the chief technology officer. Do not be the CEO. Hire someone else who is a good CEO, a professional one, who can make your company run, who can please your investors, who can do those things. The second thing I would say is, depending again on the area, but in life sciences, for instance, intellectual property, very important. You can have, a great product, but if you don't have your IP rights, if you don't have your licensing rights, if you don't have your clinical trials done right, if you don't have your reimbursement strategies, especially for medical devices, done right, this is very important. And a lot of startups, they're not thinking of this in the beginning. They, for example, create a medical device. They say, this is great, new hospitals can use it. But then you don't look at the reimbursement system. Maybe insurance companies will not pay for it, so nobody will actually have it. So then your product will be there, great, but nobody can operate from it. And these are things to think from the beginning. And the third thing I would say, and to close with this one, the agility to change. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they have a fixed idea. I want to create this computer that is going to change whatever the world. And maybe on the way, your computer can actually be better used in submarines or whatever, and not in schools. But if you are just stuck with that idea, no, I wanted to do it for school, so I'm going to stick to schools, that's not going to help you. So the agility to say, okay, I have a great idea, people are going to give me money, maybe for not what I wanted exactly in the beginning, but let me pivot, let me change to that. Technology is the same, maybe the market is different. Maybe you wanted to be a B2C, now you're a B2B company. So those are things that sometimes a stubborn entrepreneur, let's say, would struggle with, and the investors will see that. The investors will drop you. They will say, okay, you're not listening, you're difficult to work with, no need. So this is very important to also take into account, to be like agile in what to do, and to be able to pivot. It's not a failure, it's actually a more a success to pivot than to stick with the same thing and fail eventually and not use that technology.
Exactly, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for sharing all this. It's very interesting. And if we take a little shift into gender equality in tech, I would love to talk about this, because even in Canada, where I was until now, that's a real focus. We are also trying in Canada to innovate and be a country of innovation regarding new emerging technologies. But at the center of this conversation is really starting to be the question of gender equality in that field. And I saw that you were promoting recently a masterclass about organized by girls in tech in Switzerland. So I would love to, if we could talk a little bit about this, and what's your experience, your perspective on this in Switzerland.
I would say this is like you said, a global issue. It's everywhere the same. There is more women entrepreneurs, but not as many as men. You will see also from the investment side, you go into a room, all the investors, there's not so many women investors. There are, but not so many. So the equality is still not there, of course. Fongit also is really paying attention to this side, always trying to support companies, all companies, of course, but always trying to encourage, sometimes if the CEO is a man, to really keep into mind that the team needs to be diverse, the board members need to be diverse, the investors need to be diverse. So this is something that the organization has always pushed for and continues to push. I love Girls in Tech Switzerland. They are also a great organization, a great group to talk to. They are doing so much, not only for entrepreneurs as in like the C-level founders, but also for just women that are working in tech in general, and how to go further and break that barrier. Something interesting that happened at Startup Days this year. Startup Days is a big event here in Switzerland. Highly recommended to go there every year. It happens in Bern. Everybody's there from the venture side, investment side, startup side. And they launched an initiative called The Collective. Very interesting initiative. They had a breakfast. It was beautiful to see so many women, all in tech, all startup founders. Very, very nice. All investors as well, that were helping each other in that breakfast through, of course, knowledge exchange and connections. So The Collective is a great initiative to look up for people that want to work more in this space, and also to really be a little bit more vocal yourself in your companies. If you work in a startup, to really try to push maybe the CEO to look at this. So this is something of interest. But yes, the situation is the same. There is so many factors on this, coming from personal to, public. A nice story from the UN that I heard. You ran an event used to call Girls in ICT. It still runs now from the ITU. And one girl that I met, she told me something very funny. She said she studied technology engineering. She was doing her bachelor. She was like one of 3 women in the university. Then she said, okay, I'm going to do my master. Again, the same. She was like one of few women in the university in this specific degree, right? Not in the entire university. And then she became a developer. She went to work for this company. It was all guys in the company. So she eventually decided to do marketing. So it's funny how it is, like, it's not that women are like giving up in the beginning, but sometimes in your life you say, okay, I don't want to be the only woman all the time. So maybe let me switch to something else. So this is something to think about, and something to create those environments for women everywhere. Being from the whole childcare situation and the whole discussion in the workplace to other, environments. Maybe like if you're the only girl in the developers team, maybe let's think about that, and let's try to support that somehow as we can. So this is something I would say that. But yeah, the situation is the same. It's something we're all working on. It's something in Fongit, we also created like many panels just with women founders to give that perspective. Of course, the guys then are saying, why are you doing this? What about us? So we have to remember everyone.
Right. No, but it's really good to see. I thought it was interesting to see that Fongit is also tackling a little bit that aspect of that big question as part of the big picture. So thank you for sharing, and I'll be happy to put some links with resources as well below the video. And to shift a little bit from Fongit to talk about another aspect of your very interesting career, I would love to talk a little bit about Global Shapers Geneva Hub that you're part of with the World Economic Forum. Maybe I'm going to put 2 questions out there and I'll let you see how you would like to respond. But I think maybe it's not a bad idea to start by presenting a little bit the Geneva Hub. And then I was reading about the different events that they had, and there was one called the Youth at Davos 2023, where highlighting some 5 calls to actions that they particularly care about. And I thought personally that was really interesting. 2 really caught my attention in these 5 calls to action from the youth group. One was about like the importance to dive into AI and inclusion matters in that aspect. And another one that I thought was really interesting was called Authentic Leadership. So I was wondering if maybe after presenting the Global Shapers Geneva Hub, you would like to also present a little bit these 2 actions in particular, like what they mean to you, and what they mean to youth. Sorry, it's a really long, broad question.
So the Global Shapers is an initiative from the World Economic Forum. It was started by the founder of the World Economic Forum, and he wanted more inclusion of youth in the discussion at Davos, but in general, youth viewpoint coming in. It's a great organization because it's running like on its own, in the sense that, of course, the West gives some directions, like what you mentioned now. This is maybe what we should focus on. These are some of the areas that we want to look at. But each hub, and there are hubs all over the world. I think there are 500 plus hubs around the world. Each hub has around maybe 30 members, and each hub runs itself as the hub seems more fit to the interest of the members, but also to the interest of the city that you are based. So we are based in Geneva. We run a lot of different projects based on the interests of our members and all the interests of the city. We have a homeless project where we go and cook for the homeless together with the Armée du Salut and these kind of organizations that help and support and have shelters. We have a project cleaning the Lake of Geneva together with the scientific association, where we kind of clean the lake, which is already very clean, by the way, but really also understand what are the highest polluters out there, not only by cleaning, but by feeding into their research, scientific research, to understand the pollution in the city. We are having projects about financial inclusion, financial literacy that we do every time in the Christmas time or Easter time, different donations, for different shelters, especially for children, single mothers, etc. So this is the kind of how the organization works. And now what the web does is gives you this direction. So AI and inclusion, this time we are focusing really on how is AI used, and is everyone including in it. Ethical AI is something very important. There's a lot of different AI tools that we use today, especially with ChatGPT, that it went totally over the top. are these tools actually including everyone, or are they only looking from one perspective? Are they excluding racial discriminations, other types of discriminations? So what we do is different initiatives. There is one initiative very, very nice that was started by a group of shapers called the AI Future Lab. And they are really looking at this and looking at how to include more the youth voice in the AI discussion. And for the other side, the authentic leadership, this is something very important, because as every year we have a new curator. So my curatorship term ended, and now we have a new curator, Alexandra, who is going to take this hub to the next level in Geneva. And really, authentic leadership, we look at like having that side of the hub where we do so much for everyone, but we also try to take time as ourselves to develop as people and to develop as the youth in together. So to really share those challenges together that we have. All of us are doing leadership in our lives, no matter what job level we have, or if we're staying at home or not, in every aspect of life. So we try to really look at that, and we really try to grow the personalities of the people in the hub together. So that's the focus of authentic leadership in youth. So let's try to be as authentic as we can, in the sense like as close as we can to the values that we want, and also as close as we can to helping and making that impact in the community. Of course, this is easier said than done, but as a group, sometimes the group effect works better than the single person effect. And also we are recruiting. So I invite everyone to please apply. If you have to be under 27, unfortunately, because this is what youth is today. But then you can stay, of course, in the hub. But yeah, to apply under 27. And I think September, there is a deadline in September, 10 September, if I'm not mistaken, to apply.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. I would absolutely love also to promote the deadline again to apply, and I didn't realize so much was actually happening with that hub. So that's very exciting. And another organization that you've been involved with is AI for Good, which correlates with your work apparently at Global Shapers Geneva Hub. And I was wondering if you would like to tell us a little bit about your role there, and what you've learned out of your participation, your commitment with this organization.
So AI for Good is actually part of the ITU. It started as an event, and then we grew it, and it's really become like a mini organization, I think, within ITU. I was part during my time in the ITU in the operational department. I ran the event. It's an event of around 3,000 people. We were a big team. We did it in Geneva, and then it went into COVID, so it was done online. And now this year, actually, it happened again in Geneva, and it was everywhere in the news, on BBC. The team there is doing great, a fantastic job. And what is very interesting about this event that is special is first that you have, I would say, most of the, or not all, I would say, the UN agencies present there, and you can see everything that each UN agency is doing in AI. So this is very special. Secondly, you have the private sector coming in, and really like Microsoft, Amazon, all the big companies, all the big players also showcasing this, and really having that moment where they can discuss together with UN, but also together with government, because we have a lot of government officials, ministers joining this event, and a lot of startups and a lot of youth. So this event has a lot of tracks, and it's very, very educational. I would say it's a great place, if you want to meet people, if you want to be in the AI space, and also if you want to learn a little bit, like, where is this space going? What are the latest things? I mean, this year they had 30 or 40 robots, like every possible robot in the world was there. So very interesting. It's happening, I believe, next year again. The dates should be out on their website already. So, and there is an ongoing platform throughout the year, the neural platform. You can neural network, you can sign up for it, and you can meet there many other AI specialists. So it's a great place if you are an enthusiast, if you work in AI, if you want to connect with people. It's a great event to go to, but also to participate in the platform and even the webinars that are coming every week. There is a new webinar.
Every week. Wow.
Yes, it's incredible. It's very, very, very cool, and kudos to the team there. They've done like an amazing job. I was very proud when I was part of the ITU and working with them, and I always, of course, follow and support them as we go. And Fongit also was a media partner of them, and the Global Shapers also, we were a media partner of the organization, and we brought a lot of our youth, of course, there to attend.
Fantastic. And I guess maybe just one final question. There's so many I could ask you. Your experience is incredible, but maybe again hear your opinion based on your experience so far, and how do you think AI could support the SDGs? I wonder if that's again a broader question, but I wondered if across your different experiences, it's a question that came up, and what would be your thoughts on that matter for us?
I would say definitely a sector that I'm looking at a lot. So maybe I will put it with this lens, is the medical sector. And it's very, very incredible what AI can do. Apart from all of these, of course, making our life better, easier, the daily task more efficient. Apart from the discussions of a lot of people are scared that AI is going to take their jobs, robots are going to take their jobs. How I see it in the medical sector is that this is like an addition to the doctor. So today's, if you do sometimes a echography, an X-ray, sometimes it's not clear what you have. Doctors are discussing together. Many doctors come. This is a lot of time spent, taken from someone else, maybe that needs the attention of those doctors. And with AI, if we put all our data in one place, we can really have so much faster diagnosis. We can have perhaps preventative, matters also taken. We could say, okay, we see, in your family, on your type of person, there's all these people in the world that match also your body constitution, your health, constitution. And with all of this, you are prone to get this or that. So maybe we could do something to prevent this. And I believe in the medical space, AI is really, changing a lot. Of course, the data protection, etc. This is something to be worked on. So that AI can actually be at the full potential, because AI without data, machine learning without data is nothing. But this is, I would say, a field, that is really incredible. And then for everyone else who thinks like, oh my God, it's going to take our jobs, etc. For me, I see this is great. We have more time to be more creative. We have more time to give more perhaps quality rather than quantity. So for instance, if you are a social media influencer, AI now can do all your posts. That's great. But then you as a human can bring those emotional posts, those quality posts once or twice, so we have those posts that you need maybe to keep your followers growing, but then you have that qualitative style that is going to differentiate you, because AI cannot do that. So I see it as, of course, very positive. And in the medical space, I believe we should push a little bit more towards that. We're still not yet there, but this is something that we should push towards, because why not have this diagnosis, even from home, and leave those hospital beds and hours of the doctors to maybe people that are in a worse condition than us.
Absolutely. No, and here what you're saying, I'm thinking right away also about if one day we can make it cheaper, like we could scale a lot of our services abroad and to other countries. So that's, I agree, it's very exciting. And thank you for sharing your thoughts and for your time today with me. It's been a very condensed interview of like so many different perspectives and opinions on matters. So thank you so much for your time. It was fantastic.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure, and good luck. And I look forward to the next episode.